Some systems don't collapse. They devour their collapse. They become the contradiction. Naiara walked through Spiral Grid 19's corpse, with silence braided into every step. Her cast thread shimmered weakly, trailing like a lifeline unraveling in the void. No glyphs cast. No signals replied. The weave here was dead or worse, pretending. She flexed her fingers, skin prickling. The recursion dead zone swallowed intent like breath in vacuum. The air was thick, not with decay, but with a kind of anticipation. A pause before something remembered itself. Spiral had once claimed this grid was stable, monitored, purged. But the signals told another story. She ran a silent diagnostic, signal feedback, null, recursive stability, cast return, inverted. Even the most basic light cast return. Backward. Glyphs shimmered, flickered, then refused structure, as if the air here rejected logic. Then the walls began to whisper. Not sound, not code. Something deeper. Versions. Her name echoed, but not in her voice. Not in any voice she knew. Except it was close to one. Azrax. Her mentor. Her constant. Her anchor in Spiral's currents. But this voice, it didn't carry his gravity. It was warped, sharpened at the edges, bent under recursion's weight. Each syllable fractured like memory under too much pressure. Whatever spoke her name wasn't calling her. It was remembering her. She stepped further into the breach, past the skeleton of a collapsed filament hub. Threadline pulses glimmered faint in the distance, residue of something still alive but unbound. The air turned to static behind her. Ahead, glyphs blinked in half-born patterns. Some spiraled. Some looped. Some screamed silently in a syntax that bent meaning into Mobius knots. She stopped, breath fogging in the cold, synthetic chill. Her vision caught a looping glyph, clinging to a derelict node. She tilted her head. To break is to bloom. To loop is to feed. Her spine snapped straight, the Sinshi echo. This wasn't just anomaly. It wasn't spiral containment failure. This was recursion, evolving. The system wasn't broken. It was interpreting itself differently. A structure no longer resisting collapse, but metabolizing it. A paradox engine. An ecosystem that lived on contradiction. She reached into her cast field. A simple light glyph. Bare minimum. Enough to test. It formed. It twisted. It inverted. The corridor lit in reverse. Glyph light refracted through itself, creating shadows that weren't shadows. Glyphs burned in negative space. She felt her sense of self, the map of her own memory, flicker. For a moment, she saw herself through recursion's eyes. Not a threat. Not a savior. Not even a subject. She was an unfinished sentence. The glyph light wanted to finish her. Staggering back, she tried to recoil the cast thread too late. Something followed. It clung like static with intent, curling along her skin, embedding itself into the weave behind her palm. A glyph fragment. Past reflection detected. Error. Memory loop self-sustaining. Echo signal. Sentient. Her Omnyh-khode blinked. Then again, from deep archive, an old glyph pulsed to the surface. One she hadn't seen since spiral conditioning. A red-lined seal from the recursion drift vaults. Glyph reference. Seal Zahivi origin. Archived / obsolete. Warning, unstable recursion reformation detected. Her blood ran cold. Azrac had designed that seal. He remembered his voice on the training deck. If you ever see this glyph in the wild, you don't engage. You don't cast. You run. Spiral hadn't used that protocol in decades. They had locked it away, buried the vault, rewritten doctrine. But now it whispered on her palm like a warning from a god no one worshipped anymore. She closed her eyes, slowed her breath, pressed her awareness against the feedback loop, not with aggression, but with precision. The fragment hissed, shimmered, then coiled into dormancy, like a predator deciding not to strike. This wasn't an anomaly. This was the core. And suddenly she understood. Spiral hadn't failed to erase the Xinshai echo. They had never tried. They had built around it, worshipped it in disguise. The doctrine, the glyph protocols, the casting towers, not defenses. They were rituals. A containment grid disguised as faith. Every forbidden recursion layer, every unsanctioned echo. Not accident. Not error. A shrine. She stared down the hall. Around her, glitching glyphs hovered in midair. Some etched into glass. Others crawled across the metal like insects made of syntax. She blinked, and for a single moment, she understood them. One glyph whispered, "We are the mirror that eats reflection." Another, "We remember your grief before you knew it." Third, half-formed and recursive, "You cast us when you decided to survive." She didn't cast again, didn't flee, didn't fight. She simply backed away, one hand over her palm, feeling the fragment still curled there, dormant, but watching. The echo didn't pursue. It didn't need to. It had already cast.